Hey, everybody.
From Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Adam, sitting in for Dan.
Coming up on today's episode, what are we going to talk about?
All kinds of stuff. We're going to go around the world. We're going to tell different stories from different places. We've got a lot of fun things we're going to talk about in the second half. We have something for all you pet lovers out there.
Oh, yes. There was some religion pet-loving news.
There's hot off the press, you guys. Great news. Good news for pet lovers.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Especially, well, let's talk about it
We'll
later.
get to it later.
I can come up
What
later.
do you? I feel like this is the first time, Frank, that it's already been sort of announced earlier on a show that I get to not just consider myself a guest
Right.
anymore. That's really
Yeah.
exciting.
It is exciting.
I mean, not that I'm going to be sitting in this seat, regularly, but just like, so it's weird. I was like, oh, this is Adam sitting in for Dan. And I was like, ooh, not really. I kind of just got to be, I'm like the third Beatle. Who's that, Ringo?
I would
No.
say George Harrison.
George? Yeah, he's the third.
Yeah.
Ringo's the fourth. That's right. Sorry about that. Yogo's
Yeah.
the fifth. So I guess I'm the third. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
But it's fun. I don't know. It's like it's a different. It feels a little bit different than before, where I'm like, I just get to play co-pilot. Now I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
invested. Yeah, very different.
I better try this
I
time.
better try this time. Oh God. Well, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? What are we doing?
I can go.
Why don't you go ahead and go?
I have the story of I'd like to go to Quebec. Beautiful Quebec.
Oh, okay.
I've never been to Quebec.
Neither have I.
Yeah. This comes to us though from that fair province of Canada. And it deals with a former Hasid who is now 37 years old, and who has left the Haredi world, right? Isn't that what they?
Is that the
Yeah, Haredi. You're Hasidic, but anyways,
already?
I think so.
Okay.
And they are. He is suing the Quebec government for $1.25 million.
Okay.
For allowing the ultra-Orthodox schools he attended in the province to teach him nothing of use.
No. I mean, isn't that the same as the Marlboro man suing like the tobacco company for giving him lung cancer? Like, can you really do that? Can you be like, well,
No, this is suing the government for letting the tobacco company.
yeah, I guess that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be different if he was suing the school and he was
Yeah.
like, you guys are assholes.
Yeah.
Instead, he's actually suing the government like, why did you let me go there? What's wrong with you?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know the particulars of Quebec law, but I guess it's probably something like around these parts where if you're religious and you got your kid and you want to send them to your religious-y school, there's not a lot of like strict requirements for what that religious-y school is going to teach.
Let's get something straight right out of the gates. We're on an atheist podcast right now, and so obviously we have, opinions. Well, and people that are listening have the same kind of opinions about like, yeah, there's some wackadoo shit going on in these schools where they're going to teach them like, the Catholic school, like there's going to be a lot of stuff there that seems silly.
Right.
But even with that as my belief,
Right.
I would be the first person in line to tell somebody from the government, like, this might cause problems if you go and try and stop this kid from going to this school because they won't learn anything of value. Like, if you go and try and tell them that, a lot of people are going to be kind of upset with you. And, like, I would say that, believing full well, like, that kid will learn nothing of value at that
Right.
school.
Right.
But I would also be the first person in line to be like, that's going to upset some people.
But
You might want to be careful.
Here's the deal. There's a Catholic school traditionally teaches math and reading and language skills and these days probably legitimate science and so forth and so on.
Yeah, probably mostly, yeah.
And
So what does the Hasid school teach?
religion.
Period, full stop.
Yeah, they're not getting
No math.
He is illiterate in French. It's Quebec.
Okay,
So that's a problem.
At first, I was like, "So am I. I'm not suing anybody."
They did not teach me all the proper languages. I am illiterate in Chinese.
Yeah.
I am illiterate in...
Because at first I didn't go Quebec. For some reason, I was like, it was America or something. I was like, Jesus, white people problems much. I'm illiterate in French. I'm suing.
He doesn't know the alphabet.
For real?
He understands only the most basic math.
Okay.
Because of this...
Then I take back everything I said.
Yeah.
This is significantly worse.
The only job he's been able to get is teaching Aramaic at a secular night school that has some interest in having Aramaic
for a
taught.
second there, I thought we were going like full Ouroboros, and it was going to be like the only job that he was qualified to teach was at the Hasidic school.
Yeah. Well, they won't have him.
Yeah, you don't know enough. The only school you've gone to is our shitty one, so you can't teach here.
You're stuck here.
Wow. Okay,
so,
that actually is a pretty legitimate complaint then.
You know, he's now forced to live off of public assistance.
So how does and this is so this place is an accredited school?
Well,
or is it fall under the religious like?
I believe it's because it's a private because it's privately funded. The rules of to be certified by the Quebec education system are they're not required to be certified.
Because so
Quebec,
and that's Canada. Is that Canada specific? Because like in America, right? Like if like I, God bless it, if I had a kid, which thankfully I don't, but if I did, and like at some point I was like, that's it, Junior, no more school for you. And like the government would eventually show up and be like, you can't do that.
No more school for you. But I think if you're sending them to like some sort of like formal schooly type place, because like there's these schools.
But how schooly does it need to be?
Because those schools where the kids get to go and decide what they're going to learn for the day and if they're going to learn it all.
And they get like a butterfly in English and like you got a crocodile in math. And
those schools exist.
Okay.
And I don't believe
aren't
that
they
are
accredited
subjected
on
to like
some level?
I don't think they're subjected to like the state testing and all of that kind of crap. That's for
Really?
the public schools. Yeah. I might be wrong, and if I am, please listeners correct us. But like
God, it kind of blows my mind. I would just assume.
I'm fairly positive that parents, as long as you're putting your kids somewhere
with some group of asshole hippies that are going to teach them.
Now, if you're going to homeschool, then you have like these requirements that you have to meet.
Right. But if you're going to go send them into a room with a bunch of other strangers,
if you're
then
going to
it's
go full
perfectly
hippie
fine.
or full religious, you can do whatever you want.
There's a caravan somewhere on the edge of town where you can send your kids and they'll learn how to do macrame and basket weaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and learn about Jesus or whatever. And so this place in Canada, this guy now, as a kid, went to this school that's not a school that taught him literally almost nothing.
Next to nothing.
Next to nothing.
He learned a lot about being a Hasid.
He doesn't know the alphabet.
Yeah. He knows it in Aramaic.
So, in case he ever trips,
since he's teaching it,
trips and falls over into a time machine, he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
But save for that, he's screwed.
Yeah.
And so now he's suing the government.
Suing the government for $1.25 million.
How's his lawsuit looking?
He sued them. That's all I know. That's as far as it's gotten.
He threw a brick at a building, and no one said anything yet.
Yeah.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I was being kind of silly because I was like, well, yeah, I mean, there's an element of it that before you got into the details feels like spurious in a really good way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it feels like the awesome asshole thing that you do where you're like, I went to seminary for these many years and I'm suing the Mormon church for those years of my life back.
Right.
You're like, yeah, awesome. Stick it to him.
Yeah.
Then you got into the details. I'm like, oh, wow, he actually learned nothing. He actually... And he doesn't get that time back because now he's an adult and you kind of can't go back and if you're illiterate and you didn't learn how to read as a child, when you try to as an adult, it's significantly harder. It's not like you just pick it up the way that your brain is now like
calcified.
kind of. We're doctors, people. We're medical doctors. Trust everything we say. Yes, calcified. But it makes it significantly harder. And so like this guy's kind of screwed where it's like, how is he supposed to learn all the stuff he should have learned when he was a child, right?
Well, you know, so here's where I would land on this whole thing. I think he has a point. I think he does.
Sure.
The system has failed him.
Yeah.
There was not enough oversight from government.
There should have been an adult in the conversation to be like, no.
Yeah.
You have to send him somewhere.
Like,
He's a human being.
You can do this school.
Yeah.
You can teach him this all of your religious-y stuff.
But then it's 4 hours of Sesame Street in the afternoon, mister, just so you can learn your alphabet.
But at the end of the year, here's a test. The kids have to take.
Yes.
And they have to be able to pass it. Because that's what we expect of members of our society. That's the whole point of education.
And at least the most rudimentary version of it. I mean, if this guy can't even make his way across like an Amish farm, he's screwed, right? Like you have to at least be able to
probably find at an Amish farm.
I don't know. Don't they need to learn how to? Don't they need to know how to like read and like?
I don't know. I mean, I think the Amish do learn some things. I think they stopped their education around 6th grade or 8th grade or something like that.
Just on the lathe.
They prefer being uneducated.
Once you've learned the lathe and like maybe like buttonholing, then you're good. Yeah. Can you raise a barn? You're done. That's it. That's it.
Can you
just graduated?
Can you make a fireplace insert? All right.
You graduated.
A fake fireplace hearth thingy. You can
Great.
do that.
Graduated. Now go get that girl pregnant and let's make some more kids. Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it? Should we move on?
Yeah, I think so. I was going to get into a couple of the comments, but I normally don't do that. I just found one really fascinating.
Oh, let's go.
It says, "Sue your parents and rabbi. Canada has done nothing but try to be accommodating." Wow.
Who said that?
I don't know, some poster. Junior or JR.
This is in the comments.
Yeah.
Canada has done nothing
but try to be accommodating.
You know what I love? I love
That's...
that even a Canadian troller on the internet, that's the darkest that they get. Is like a brusque a brusque owner of a bed and breakfast somewhere.
Strange case is another comment.
Oh, the Canadians.
Yeah.
They're just like, you know what? Go ahead and sue whoever you want. All we've tried to do is be accommodating for you, okay?
Actually, this one's pretty amazing.
Okay.
Where did he learn to claim welfare? Was it in his Torah studies?
Ooh,
spicy.
That's a loophole? You see, they found a loophole. Yeah. Like if you were that big of a village idiot, you never would have even realized that you were dumb.
Yeah.
So you must be pretty smart then, aren't you, Mr.?
Oh, you knew about the welfare?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm poking holes in your argument then, aren't I? What about that, Mr. Smarty Pants? Sorry, the end of my Canadian accent got a little leprechaun-y at the end there.
Was it leprechaun?
Oh, yeah.
That is a little more leprechaun.
Sorry, everybody. I do not do accents like Dan does.
No. And I
don't. I'll phone it in. Sorry.
Yeah,
let's take, I'm going to do a little bit of a callback to a previous piece.
Oh, yeah.
This is something you guys, God, I want to say this was, the reason why I remember this is because you guys made a very funny and like fairly off color for you guys comment about lesbian weddings. I think at the end of this piece, this is a Portland-based Christian bakery owner who in 2013 declined to bake a cake for a lesbian couple's wedding.
Okay,
you remember this story, and you guys covered this. Yeah. And there is some funny comment about like it would be a tacky wedding anyway or something. It was very funny. It was very off color, but it was very funny.
Okay.
I remember laughing about it while I was listening to it. Anyway, so this is a follow up to that story. So
that specific
that specific story. So again, 2013. Melissa and Aaron Klein, a Portland-based Christian bakery owner who declined to bake a cake for a lesbian couple's wedding. Well, Matt Stolhansky, Matt Stolhansky, we'll say, a board member for the newly created, are you ready for this? This doesn't sound like this has any kind of issues or problems with it. Evangelicals for Marriage Equality.
Oh,
doesn't that sound nice?
Sounds nice.
They're really trying, building bridges, right?
Okay.
Building bridges.
Yeah.
So Matt Stolhansky, tried an unconventional crowdfunding campaign to show Christian love by donating money to the bakery. Okay? So basically the idea is this is a challenge. This is a challenge of love.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Building bridges, saying, you know what, guys? Okay, let's agree to disagree, but let's all try to do something nice here. And so we are going to do this crowdfunding campaign. Okay. And Stolhansky said, I'm not rewarding their behavior, the bakery's behavior, for denying this cake.
Okay.
But rather loving them in spite of it.
Oh, okay.
So let's raise some money for them, for this bakery. Okay.
Okay.
So this gay Christian advocate who's worked on international development projects said it's time for these two communities, which both cite genuine love as the motivation, to put aside the prejudices and put down our pitchforks to clear a path for progress. Let me ask you.
I'm confused. Should I be confused? I feel confused.
It seems weird.
I'm okay. Keep going.
How do you think the crowdfunding went?
Not terribly well.
So their goal was $150,000 generated.
Wait, for the baker?
For the bakery. Because they had had some real problems. They had had some bad press, surprisingly.
Okay, so people stopped going. This is to save the bakery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to show that, like, God's love is God's love, Frank. No matter which side of this issue of gay rights you stand on,
right?
You should really be just coming together. Right?
Okay.
This is about showing good Christian love.
Okay.
So $150,000 goal.
Okay.
The campaign has generated $4,279.
Wow. That's going well.
Yeah, great.
Well, how did they structure this thing? Were there any good prizes? Were there, like...
I mean, just showing brotherly, sisterly love, I guess.
It's an online campaign. What
I mean, it's a crowdfunding campaign to show.
Were they on like Kickstarter?
It doesn't say specifically if it's Kickstarter or like
the way to be successful in these
Indiegogo.
things is you got to have some good prizes.
So, what do you think the prizes would be?
This one has me really confused because of the evangelical Christians for gay rights.
Well, let's dig a little deeper.
Okay.
The idea was unwelcome from both gay activists and those who oppose same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
Fucking duh much?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, of course. His activism was a conflict of interest given his work with Evangelicals for Marriage Equality, wrote someone for The Advocate. You cannot serve on a board for marriage equality, then financially support someone who wants the right to refuse service to LGBT people. It's full equality or none at all. Right? I mean, of course
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. As like an outspoken pacifist, I get what the heart of the matter that this guy was trying to do is. Like,
Right.
I get that part of it. But you didn't even, like, wrong people to try and champion, right? Like, these people are bigots,
right?
Who were like, my belief structure is more important than my business, and so ergo I'm just going to do this, and then lost business for it. And he's saying, no, come on, you guys, it's equal playing field. Let's all come out here. And you go, that none of that makes any sense.
Because like if people risked their business by speaking their mind,
right,
and the public is like outraged,
you deserve each other.
Solved.
You deserve each other.
Yeah.
Everything worked out exactly the way it was supposed to.
You went out of business.
Yeah,
because the public made up their mind that they don't want to support you.
Guess what, guys? That literally is the invisible hand of the free market that everybody talks about. It just punched you in the butthole. Congratulations. It worked.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And especially in this day and age of social media, like that's what it looks like. And the fact that this guy,
you can't mix in your politics into your business unless you are ready to suffer the consequences. So
I love this tagline. An unconventional crowdfunding campaign to show Christian love by donating money to bakery owners who declined to bake a cake for a same-sex wedding has proved to be a challenge for one gay Christian.
They should have let's reward them for their hatred.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, confused gay.
Yeah, it's way like weird self-loathing-ish.
Yeah,
something's going on there, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's still stuck in it.
He's stuck in something.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, that came out way weirder than I wanted it to.
I don't know that anybody else's mind went there with you.
Just me.
Until you pointed it
reiterated it. Stuck in something. Sorry, everybody.
And what would that something be?
I don't know. I'm trying.
I'm confused.
And now
what
I'm
are you
trying.
Going on about?
And now it's turning into this.
I don't understand what you're going on about. What is he stuck in?
Oh, good God. It's like a Winnie the Pooh story or something, right? What? Was he always getting stuck in a jar of honey?
So sweet.
Come on.
He got stuck in the rabbit's front door. Right.
That's got to be a euphemism for something.
Shut up. Okay. Moving on to
stuck in the rabbit's front door again.
Really?
I'm having fun. Right. I get to do this like twice a year.
Not only you're not Dan's not the only one who can get me to stare at him disapprovingly across
over that
the table.
Microphone. Yeah.
Adam, move on.
That's enough. That's quite enough. Sorry, everybody.
I know that we earned that TVMA rating, but
sorry.
All right.
Please.
Well, here is a story that comes to us from Gambia. And I have to admit, I'm trying to figure out why I wanted to read this story.
Wow. Well, that's the wheels are falling more off the bus right now than they were on my whole stuck in it thing. Yeah.
Bad.
Okay.
Oh, that's why I wanted to read this one. Because all it says is the headline. Normally the headline is enough to just jog my memory.
Right, but they buried the lead a little bit, huh?
So it's Gambia passes draconian anti-LGBTI law is what the headline says, right?
LGBT
intersex.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said yeah.
Sorry. Anyways. So, like throughout Africa, there have been like these all these like anti-gay laws
awful.
Coming up. Just
it's
terrible
awful.
things.
Yeah, it's really scary.
And it almost seems at this point that each nation is trying to outdo the last one. Quite possibly. I mean, it's the only explanation for this one. Yeah. This law mandates life imprisonment for individuals perceived to be gay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like a gaydar death ray. Right?
Yeah, basically.
It's just basically like, and so basically if I'm a closeted, repressed gay person,
yeah,
that anybody that I see that I'm like, little light in the loafers,
yeah,
that person could then, like, who's it perceived by? Anybody?
The police, I suppose.
Oh, good, because that's gonna turn out just fine.
It was signed into law by President Yahya Jammeh.
Yahya Jammeh?
Yeah,
that name sounds a little suspect.
I'm thinking.
I think somebody needs a life sentence in prison, if you know what I mean. Yahya rhymes with what?
JJ? Gay?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was trying to.
Or, yay!
All right, there you go, right? This is a podcast, so you guys couldn't see Frank's amazing fisting. Sorry.
Wow, what
fists
is wrong with you?
in the air. Sorry.
Flailing fists.
I was trying to.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was trying to.
His gesticulations, maybe.
I didn't mean, yes. Of fists in the air.
Of fists in the air.
Sorry, everybody.
Wow. You even hijacked this story. with your sick mind.
I wasn't. All right. Please continue. I apologize so much.
Surprisingly enough, or maybe rather not surprising, Gambia is rated not free in the Freedom in the World 2014 list of nations, and not free in Freedom of the Press list as well. They've got some freedom problems.
They have some issues with freedom.
Yeah.
So I'm just, how many people have been, do you have a number of how many people have been arrested for this perceived
The story
gayness?
doesn't have a lot of details.
Well, because they don't have free press. So, I mean, let's be fair. Anybody who's asking any questions, somebody's going to be like, seems kind of gay to me. We better,
yeah.
Guy's asking a lot of questions. Seems kind of gay.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
Swishy. All you have to do is be a little swishy. I know so many guys that, boy, stay away from Gambia.
I mean,
you know,
well,
if this was on your list of nations to visit.
Well, and I know a decent amount of guys from Africa who enjoy putting their arms around each other, and again, not in a gay way, but just in a way of like.
But it's not perceived. That's not perceived to be gay.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
is that like there are countries, there are African countries where like guys hold hands.
Yeah,
good friends hold hands, and you're like, so what is the perceived gayness that might get you arrested? Like, what could that possibly look like or sound like or whatever?
I think
it's terrifying.
I think it's being a little, seriously, a little swishy.
But that's what I'm saying. Is how much more swishy than guys who hold hands because they're like, well, we are brothers, and you're like,
right? But
okay, but that's
but they're like they're butch while doing it, you know. They're not like la 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 la.
Dude,
right?
When you had your hand in that other guy's back pocket, you were doing it so gay.
That's not what they're doing. Right?
Right.
Anyway.
God, that's so scary.
It's really scary.
I mean, that's I don't know.
Actually, oh God, I can't throw this one together. I often like if it's a story in the United States and I pull up something on Wikipedia and it has like the color coded state map and everything. My geography of the United States is good enough that I can just be like, oh, that's Massachusetts.
And you're trying to do that with Africa?
I can't. I just learned something about myself and where my geography knowledge.
My God. I could barely do that with the United States. There's no way. There's no way.
I know that's South Africa.
Right. That's the bottom part.
That's that one.
I know where Egypt is.
Yeah.
And Morocco.
Egypt.
I can do Morocco.
There's Libya. And we are completely derailed.
Would you ever go to Africa?
This is fascinating. Certain places I would. Clearly, it's not a place that is
friendly.
Here's the deal. Here's information I can pull up. I'm looking at 1, 2. That looks like a bunch of little countries in the middle. 3, 4, 5, 6, where there's death penalty for same-sex sexual activity.
God.
Life in prison.
Frank, don't go.
I just picked out Gambia.
Did you really?
Well, it's the only one that I can see, so it must be that one. And then there's one that just says penalty. There's a penalty, and that's most of the remaining.
It's probably an arm.
And then there's no.
It's probably an entire arm that gets cut off. That's your penalty.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can move on.
Okay.
I mean, but yeah,
it's so strange.
Rough.
I mean,
it has nothing to do with like if it were to go and do humanitarian work or to go to some dicier places, I don't know that I would personally have a problem with going to those places.
Yeah.
But there's the
because if
other aspect of like personal safety,
if you're going to do,
it's inherently about who I am rather than I might just find myself in danger.
Well,
that's different,
and that's living there, right? Yeah. Like that's like living there over a period of time. But yeah, if you were there, like if you were in a place doing humanitarian work, it's not like that evening you'd be like, "What are you guys doing tonight?"
Well,
right?
What if I was all swishy and they didn't like it? Hello.
That's the voice.
Yes, this is my voice of reason in Africa.
You're just like, it's a lot of this. Stop it. What's wrong with you?
I would have to go to Africa like this.
Yes. You'd have
Hey, everybody, I'm here to dig a ditch. I'm here to help you dig wells.
Is everybody here okay? Who has malaria?
Okay, I'm being very butch right now.
Just hold your friend's hand in a really butch way, and you should be fine. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. This article, ladies and gentlemen, I will be mispronouncing almost every name, just so that we're all on the same page.
So if you happen to know the correct pronunciation,
don't bother calling.
We already know.
Yeah, we know.
We're already aware of this fact.
I don't even need to know the right one. I just know this is wrong. So,
okay.
do you know, Frank? Do you like yoga at all? You ever get into any yoga?
I want to like yoga.
Me too.
I want to.
I have kind
Here's
of a bad
the problem.
back. I would love to have that core strengthened. But
Here's the problem. You have to find the right yoga, because the other day I was like, I need to get off my duff, and I went onto YouTube and I was like, I'm sure there's like some beginning yoga something or other. I'll put it up on my computer screen, and my office is big enough. I put out my little yoga mat that I bought years ago and have used maybe 10 times. Right.
I'm picturing this in my head.
And so I
love it already.
The first one that comes up is like, I don't even know what kind of yoga it was, but she's like, okay, well now we're going to get into the blah blah blah. Sit here, whatever, like chanty thing, and I was like, shut it off.
That's not good.
That's not the one.
I don't need that in my house.
Yeah. And then I found one that was just like stretchy and bendy. And I was fine
because that's
with
the
that.
and that's
and
the
balancy,
thing is we become stretchy and bendy and balancy.
Right.
But when the yoga movement started, it was very humming the hair, like it was that, right?
No, I
that's
know,
the beginning of it.
Right.
So the guy who did that,
the guy who did what?
Brought that to the Western world. The
Oh.
humming the, yeah, that.
Yeah, okay.
Saraswati. Yogi Saraswati. Let's okay. Again, I'm sure it's not right. I apologize. SS. Oh, Jesus. Saraswati is what we're going to go with.
Saraswati.
I don't want to do
go for it.
Yogi SS.
Okay.
So he's the one who founded the International Yoga Fellowship in 1956 and the Bihar School of Yoga in 1964. Basically brought it to the Western world.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he died in 2009.
Okay.
This just came out that this woman in Australia,
Okay.
Bhakti Manning. So obviously she changed her name. She's probably Australian, probably from New South Wales. You're right. So told the Inquiry, the newspaper, that in ashram society, what a guru does is done for the good of the disciple. She is talking about the sexual abuse that she was subjected to through like her entire youth as a member of one of these ashrams that was founded by a Saraswati. Okay. So Saraswati basically approached her when she was 15. Oh, you should come into our ashram and become a member of it.
Right.
When she was 15, she now believes that Saraswati had targeted her as a future sexual consort when he was in Australia.
Oh.
So Manning said the guru, so not Saraswati, but the guy. So Saraswati approached her and said, "You should come and be a part of this of this ashram." Then the guru who was in charge, who founded the eponymous worldwide yoga movement, subjected her to aggressive, violent sexual acts after she went to his famous ashram in India when she was 17. So basically, for years was violently sexually abused by not just him but other gurus at these different yoga ashrams in India.
Oh my God.
And now it's become so let's see, the other guy, sorry, I'm looking at these names. The other one was Swami, one abuser was Swami Akahananandra, sorry everybody, who founded the Mangrove Yoga Ashram in New South Wales Central Coast. That guy, Akahan something, died in 1998, 6 years after the High Court overturned a child abuse conviction against him on a legal technicality. He'd spent 14 months in jail.
Oh my God. Okay.
Manning didn't reveal herself as a victim of abuse until earlier this year, but had written to members of the Yoga Teachers Association saying the issue must addressed. The ashram sent her a cease and desist letter. Now, this has gotten intense enough that this month, the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse in Australia began holding an official inquest investigation because of the allegations of Satyendra that resided in the ashrams that he established that were sexually abused. And that there is now rampant sexual abuse allegations that these kids were drugged and beaten and raped and all of these things. So it's like, it's not just this one woman, but she's sort of the keynote that opened the floodgates that now they're doing these investigations. So this is the guy who brought yoga to the Western world and his ashrams. And all of these guys, so multiple of these gurus that he basically was like, oh yeah, this is what we're starting. This is our thing. And I mean, a lot of this stuff is like in the 60s and the 70s. And it's all coming to light now.
Oh my God.
That it was basically just these like dens of iniquity, like this awful shit going on.
So what's happening now?
They've opened these investigations.
Okay.
So apparently,
has anybody how far has this gone?
So here's, the easiest way of putting it to you right now, Frank, is that the ashrams, the original yoga ashrams that were started, are sort of the Bill Cosby of the spiritual movements. Obviously, there was awful shit that's been going on forever.
Bill Cosby.
Okay. But there's awful shit that's been going on forever, and now finally people are like, yeah, this stuff, it's been going on forever. And they're like, well, we better look into this. And apparently there's been allegations. Again, 96, she wrote a letter saying, this is stuff that's happening. They didn't even send back a letter like, oh my God, are you okay? They sent back a cease and desist.
Right.
So, that was 96.
That's pretty gross.
Yeah. So, it's kind of amazing that and I saw that one story and I was like, that's weird. And so I got onto Wikipedia and started looking up all these different guys' names that I've butchered in pronunciation here. Again, my apologies. And each one of them, this case, December 2014, is listed on the Wikipedia thing where it's like,
God.
Oh shit. All of these guys, and most of them are dead now, but all their legacies, it's going down. It's, it looks like a lot of people. So, it's so funny that for so long, the whole, Catholic Church sexual scandals have been this huge thing that's been known. They try to do something about it. People get moved around. Nothing happens.
Right.
And there's no accountability. It's not just in the Catholic Church. So over here, which makes sense really in a way because, you're talking about the same thing, like these monks who are celibate or whatever, right? That have,
well, these aren't monks, they're yogis.
Well, okay. Yeah. But I guess I'm using the term monks loosely in terms of someone who's given their life over to their spirituality. And so they're celibate. And so they're living this.
Are yogis celibate?
I think a lot of times they are. Boy. Maybe not all the time, but I think that there's, and some of the stuff that I was looking up, a lot of these guys were because they were these spiritual leaders. And so they had this trajectory of being, a trajectory of purity, right?
Okay.
Is part of this sort of.
Well, if that's the case, then yet another example of how celibacy just isn't what we're not supposed to be celibate.
I'm pretty sure that's what I read. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that these guys, I think that most of them are supposed to be these sort of, the solipsist ideology is key, right?
Yeah.
But then you surround yourself with a bunch of teenage girls and you're like, yeah, this is all going to play out fine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be fine, right?
Yeah.
How gross is that?
It's really, really, it bothers me.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to watch a yoga video on YouTube again. I'm going to stay not limber. And I'm going to continue with these problems and this weird,
if my lower back calcifies together, that's just fine. Because I'm not looking up anymore.
I will have nothing
spiritual
to do with it.
Yeah.
I will not be that limber. That leads to
drugging and worse.
Yeah. What kind of person will I become if I'm that limber?
I mean, it's
clearly the two are not linked, but like
they might be. Is that your next?
No. It's the issue is the celibacy.
No,
thing.
it's totally weird.
And the position of power that like
that's it.
That like spiritual leaders, whether they're uber religious or just sort of this Eastern thing that Westerners don't really understand, but are fascinated by, and when they're searching for something because Western religion and Western solutions have failed them.
I think whenever you've convinced,
it doesn't matter. Like if there's this sense of like, oh, this person, is not revered, but like this really important person in my, like a leader. They've taught me so much, and they run this community.
That's what it is. I think it's when you've convinced yourself that through the alignment of the stars or through, reincarnation of the great one or whatever,
right,
that you somehow have some destiny that puts you above everybody else.
Right.
You are the prime candidate to become a predator.
Yeah.
To other people's weaknesses. I don't see how you couldn't be. Yeah. I think the second that you believe that your destiny is higher than other people's, you start to see them as lesser beings, and you start to take advantage of them, and that road can inevitably lead to a place of really destroying other people's lives.
Yeah.
Because you've now, that's sociopathology, right? Yeah. I mean, that's just, I'm real, everybody else is a figment of my imagination, so I'll do whatever the fuck I want.
God, but it's got to be a good ride while it's going.
I mean, it's got to be the best drug. The best.
That's so sick.
It is. It's disgusting.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I also have a story from Australia.
Oh, let's do it.
And this one has to do with...
are these people's names easier to pronounce?
The last name Abbott.
Oh, thank God. There were so many K's in these names. I had no idea what to do. There's all K's and R's. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. So apparently the Abbott government... is trying to push through some cutting of funding. They want to cut funding, the level of funding that the government has in supporting universities financially.
Okay.
But they on the other side of it, they found something they do want to fund, which is priests training.
I don't know if everybody could hear my nonplussedness just permeate my body.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't get far enough into this story, and I just realized that as I'm like, there were a couple things I wanted to check in on. But of course there are two parties who are upset about it. The Labour Party and the Green Party are attacking the policy, saying that it obviously is a violation of church and state.
Right. Which is a real thing there, right? Isn't it?
Separation of church and state?
Yeah.
I would assume that they have similar problems that we have with it.
Probably.
Where there's, there's people who clearly
like
somebody who doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And
seems like in general it's less weird there than it is here though, right?
They've got their own unique problems.
They have their own unique problems, but I wouldn't say
the Aussies are in the clear. From what
you
know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe not the level of intensity. They have some things that they've got
figured out better than us, but other times okay.
I didn't mean to derail you. Keep going.
Yeah, but anyways, that's the story.
That was it. No, that can't be
supposed to be outraged.
Well, that's not the end of the story. Like, how can you? So they said we don't want to fund the schools, right?
Well, what they're saying is that they need to cut back on my guess is this is being sort of caged in some sort of like we have funding, we have financial problems right now. There's things that we need to cut, right?
But Timmy wants to fly to the moon, so we're going to build him a little paper rocket ship.
But
that's essentially right.
The Sydney College of Divinity, Brisbane's Christian Heritage College, and the Perth Bible College, which would be eligible for an estimated $4,214 a year for each student under these reforms.
I hate it. I like. Well, I mean, obviously I hate it, but I hate it because it's like, here's all these people who want to go to school to better themselves, and it's like, ooh, we're really trying to tighten the old belt because there's not a whole lot of money to go around. But there's these people over here that think that, like, you know what I'd really love to do is like learn how to do an exorcism someday, or like whatever.
Well,
and
you're
like,
not that far off. The John Paul II Institute for Marriage and Family in Melbourne, which currently offers courses titled Theology and Practice of Natural Family Planning and Marriage in the Catholic Tradition, also would be eligible for federal support.
Oh, God. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you can't, like, other people over here want to just go to school, like, to do, like, the regular stuff in life. Like, I want to become a doctor or a lawyer, or hell, I want to, like, become a tax attorney, right?
Any one of them could, I'm sure, benefit from $4,214 more a year in funding.
Right. But no.
Per person.
But what we want to do instead is give it to somebody to teach people how to be married the Catholic way. Mm-hmm. Which means what? No rubbers? I mean, that's basically it, right?
Well, that's what he was. That's it.
That's the beginning.
Practice of natural family planning sounds like the rhythm method. Yeah. No, that's what they called it.
You got pregnant again. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Well, how many times were you planning on having sex? That's how many kids you're going to have. I mean, that's. Well,
once you get pregnant, then just go at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's free. You got a bunch of freebies now.
You do.
You got like 3 months of freebies.
Yeah.
But after that, if you have any more sex, the kid will turn out gay.
Yeah.
So you want to be careful. You got a couple of months of freebies, but.
Let's see. There's this Senator Bob Day, who's with some sort of Family First something or other. Sorry, Aussies. I know there's some of you who listen. I don't know enough about all your stuff. But so Family First Senator
I like the
Bob
sound
Day.
of that voice in an Australian accent.
Huh?
That name, Bob Day.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He wrote a letter. Sort of, it sounds like it's an open letter, in which he says that it is unfair that public universities receive federal funding, but religious colleges and other private providers do not. It's unfair.
Bob Day's up in the night. What is he talking about?
I can totally imagine some nitwit U.S. senator saying something very similar.
Yeah. Well, it's the persecution of the Christians again, right? Yeah. Like,
the fact of the matter is, Brigham Young University, while not a religious institute like these were, Pell Grants were available and all that kind of crap to pay for the, educations there. Federal programs were available, and that's a highly religious school where you go and you're required to take, classes about the Book of Mormon and
shave that beard off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so like we do that on some level here. I don't know how far that goes, to be honest. And that's one of the things I probably should have looked up, is to see, like, for our American listeners, how far up into religious funding does the government, like, can you get like a Pell Grant at a Bible college?
I
bet you can.
Yeah.
I bet you totally can.
And even beyond any of that, like, colleges aren't hurting. You know how much money that they're just getting, like, excuse me, probably completely off the books from whatever religious establishments they're connected with, right?
Oh, you mean like a BYU?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Where it's just like, if there's any need for any kind of a new gymnasium or God knows what, that is just like, poof, God made it happen, and it's like.
Have you been to BYU recently?
Not recently.
Talking about like churches funding, because Brigham Young University doesn't charge a lot for their tuition.
Right.
It's actually really cheap. And they've got more money just oozing out of the new construction all over campus.
I bet.
just beautiful. Like, I wouldn't say beautiful buildings because Mormons don't really build beautiful buildings.
No, you know what? It's
they have
weird.
a hard time with it. Like they
have this kind of
conceptualize something that's kind of nice, but then they just can't really make themselves build something that's actually pretty or nice.
It turns into this weird sort of like communist era, like brutalist, like
they don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and so
they
they decorate in as many shades of taupe as they can find.
Yeah, and
know,
everything
like,
sort of kind of looks like the very top of the Ghostbusters building, like we're like any one of the walls is going to open and Gozer's going to come out. You know what I mean? Like it's all these like
I am thinking a little bit more of like, oh, I know what you're
you know what I
talking
mean?
about,
Like there's
actually.
these weird like almost like scalloped walls that just look like nothing. They look like nothing.
Have you done like a temple tour?
A long time ago,
but not like recently. You haven't checked out any of the new ones that have opened up. Why? Because it's a sight and it's an experience.
It's a spectacle. It's a spectacle,
and you get to be a spectacle. Yeah, because you'll be the only person who looks like you and doesn't look like all the Mormons who's waiting in line.
I
went with Dan and Andrea to the Brigham City Temple when it opened.
Okay.
I think we probably talked about it on the podcast. Boy, if we didn't get some stares.
Oh, I bet.
And I was, of course, asked right before I walked in to take my hat off.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry. I was wearing a hat.
This isn't a funeral.
For a good reason. Because my hair was a problem that day. You know?
See, but right there, coming off as a little swishy.
Well, I'm sorry.
All right. Should we move on?
Let's move on.
Okay. Frank, have you ever heard of the band Vital Signs?
No.
They were big in the 80s. Vital Signs? No.
Vital Signs? No.
They were a Pakistani band.
Oh.
An 80s Pakistani band called Vital Signs.
Okay. That's a good name.
It's a good name. It's a good name.
Yeah.
Apparently they were huge in Pakistan. So,
okay.
I believe that he was the lead singer. Yes, he was the lead singer of Vital Signs was Junaid Jamshed. Okay.
Okay.
Now, he still is producing music as well as a fashion empire mogul in Pakistan.
Wow.
As well as an evangelical Muslim.
Okay.
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 A devout evangelical Muslim.
Okay.
Who sings evangelical Muslim songs.
So, okay.
Okay. So he, Junaid Jamshed is this household name. I mean, he is so famous in Pakistan. Okay. He has all these CDs.
What would be a comparable artist in the United States, do you think?
I mean, household name. I mean, I would say almost like
was big. Is he still as big as he was?
Okay, you know what? I think I've got it. I've got it. So like imagine if you could somehow combine, I would say it'd be like combining like the Christian theming of a Pat Boone with maybe like the 80s nostalgia mixed with like now fashionista of maybe a Ricky Martin. What do you think?
Okay.
But with a big beard and no mustache, right?
Okay.
And maybe like the headdress.
Okay.
So,
okay.
You're picturing it now.
I've got
right?
it. Yeah.
Okay. So, but a crooning evangelical. So he's putting out the CDs, but he's also like, you know, he's a devout Muslim. Like, I mean, everybody loves him for this stuff. Okay. Now, during his talk to a small group of men, Jamshed teasingly mocked Aisha, one of the wives of the Prophet Muhammad, while explaining his views about the inherent frailties of women. A story about Aisha feigning illness to gain the attention of her husband, now I quote, Jamshed said, proves that a woman cannot be reformed even if she is in the gathering of the Prophet. He basically made fun of the mother of Islam.
Wow.
Now, the sexism of his remark annoyed some liberals, but his casual tone outraged the Sunni Tehreek, a national grouping of clerics who launched a sit-in in Karachi to demand Jamshed's arrest on Tuesday.
So in one comment, he pisses off the liberals and the conservatives of his country.
Boom, just like that.
Wow.
Kind of amazing. Not even like in lyrics of his song, not
Right.
even like in an interview on TV. He's literally sitting around with a group of men that, not like a group of friends, but it was like at like, he was like, oh, we're going to have this guy come and speak.
Okay.
And he just like an off the cuff remark says this.
Okay. Yeah.
With the police initiating an investigation, Jamshed,
What?
who is said to be outside the country, issued a groveling apology in an apparent bid to stave off arrest and trial.
Oh my God.
Here's his apology. Because of ignorance, lack of knowledge, and naivety, I said some extremely inappropriate sentences about the mother of the Muslim nation, Jamshed said in an online video. I beseech you, I beg you like a beggar to forgive me. He said,
God.
his voice cracking towards the end of the short video.
Oh my God.
It was not enough for the Sunni Tariq. We do not accept any apology because blasphemy against the Prophet deserves the death penalty.
Oh my God.
Said a spokesman. We have asked the administration to arrest him and produce him in court. And so far it's pending. We don't know what's going to happen. They want him dead. This guy who's like a national treasure. He's like
Pat Boone.
He's Pat. I mean, Ricky Martin Pat Boone. He's the Ricky Martin Pat Boone with the beard.
Boone Martin.
Boone Martin. They want Boone Martin dead. Boone Martin said something awful about the Virgin Mary. Now they want to kill him. I mean, that's the American equivalent.
Yeah, and I just can't wrap my head around that.
Me either.
The outrage.
The death penalty. The death penalty. You said something
sexist about
an imaginary person. Kill him to death.
or if you like believe it all, the worst that it is that this person is dead and wasn't in the room.
Right. Yeah. Still dead.
Yeah.
And you said, I don't know, they seemed like a woman. They were a woman and they seemed like a woman.
Everything that we
which actually
this
with
woman seemed like everything that we believe and teach about women.
Yeah, it's right.
And that's outrageous.
Does it add? Okay, so maybe
does it not have some problems? With like,
yeah,
something's not really working.
Yeah, when looking at like women's rights in Pakistan and like,
yeah.
I mean, does that add into the Pat Boone and Ricky Martin? Does that add just a dash of Tom Jones? It's like, man, let me tell you about a lady. You know how ladies can be, right? It's got a touch of the old swagger to it, right?
Yeah. Boy, I'd love to like know what his to be able to experience his music. You know,
God, dude, I mean, all I saw was a CD cover, and it was pretty fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, it looked like something that would like, when you go to like the this sounds awful, but you'll know what I mean. Like when you go to like a family-owned convenience store where they actually sell like water pipes like in the back, and then there's like a wall of CDs back there, and you're like trying to see what it is, and they're like the most awesome bad Photoshop job with some guy with like sunglasses on,
right.
And then there's like a weird landscape behind him.
Okay.
It looks like one of those.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's like something that they would play at a restaurant while you were eating. And you're like, oh, that's good. It's got a good beat to it.
And then you find out.
Yeah. And you're like,
he's singing.
Oh,
yeah.
Death to Infidels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a catchy one.
I mean, it's a good one. This is my favorite Death to Infidels.
Volume 14.
Yes. They just keep coming out.
All right. Well, if you would like to be outraged and chime in about anything, please feel free to drop us an email at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com, or our voicemail number is 424-666-8442. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TGIAtheist. You can also find our members only lounge on Facebook.
I still haven't done that.
Yeah. All you have to do is search for it.
You just got to search around for it.
Watch out. The first thing that will come up is some Vietnamese family, as far as we can tell. And
that's not a front for you guys.
No, it's not to like, don't join the TGIA family. Join because it's like TGIA members only lounge.
Because the TGI family is like guy like family or something. It's like
we don't know. We don't know. And of course, our website is thankgodimatheist.com. We're going to take a quick break, And this is going to be this is Glenn Beck.
This is the piggy little voice of Mr. Ruddy-faced, spiky-haired Glenn
the
Beck.
heavily scarfed and covered in coats, apparently.
He's like a little pig that no one told him it was Christmas. He's just like angry and yeah.
And he has something to say about Al Sharpton.
And Muslims.
Al Sharpton's not a reverend. He's a cleric. He stands up in his pulpit and he spews his hatred, his anger for his own purposes. And everybody in the mosque is either buying into this crap, the few crazies, or they're just afraid to say anything because the culture will kill them. Stop calling Al Sharpton a preacher. He's a cleric. He's a dangerous, extremist cleric.
Yeah, I mean, Al Sharpton hasn't killed anybody that we know of. He's accused a lot of people of killing. That radical Islam does seem to go to darker places, as we've noted in the past.
Al
many
Sharpton's
times.
Not killed anybody?
As far as I know.
Can we look, has there been any deaths in any of these marches? How much terror has been done on the streets of Ferguson? How much terror? What do you think this is? These are terrorist organizations. They are terrorizing the people of Ferguson. They are terrorizing the store owners.
Well, wasn't that nice?
I mean, here's my thing. When you when you just equate all of Islam, every Muslim person, that when you can immediately say he's a cleric, therefore an asshole, or he's a cleric, therefore a murderer, or therefore a terrorist.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it does happen a lot, and there's a lot of wackadoo stuff in that religion.
Right.
But it's racist. It's just a racist thing to automatically equate one to the other. And the fact that he has a show where he can just do that willy-nilly still blows my mind. It still blows my mind that you can do that, and it's such a full-blown just like racist way of talking about anybody that you say that way is crazy, right? Like, I mean, it's one thing to say like, oh, there's a lot of violence in that religion, and you're like, yeah, sure there is. Well, but to be like, oh, Barack Obama's a Muslim, therefore is a terrorist and evil, and you're like, no, that's a racist thing that you just said.
Right.
Like, it just is.
It's remarkable to me that like it's so easy.
It's
to
like
just
when
paint. Like, I mean, to take Al Sharpton, and to Islamicize him somehow, in order to like paint him in fear, just cover him, give him more reasons for your conservative listeners to not like him.
Doesn't it remind you of like the first time when Obama was elected, and when McCain did his concession speech? And he was like, Barack Obama is this and that. And some woman in the audience was like, he's a Muslim. And he's like, no, he's not. He's a very nice man. And it's like, well, couldn't he be a Muslim and a very nice man? Are they mutually exclusive? Because McCain certainly seemed to think so, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was the weirdest thing where it was like, but that's the point that we were at, is that he could say that, and people were like, that was so nice, that was so decent of McCain to correct that woman.
To stand up,
really. He's changed the narrative. Right? Like, you're just like, really? You couldn't just be like, lady, shut up. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. It's fine. But crazy pants. I can't. Glenn Beck is so creepy.
Yeah. Well, and it's amazing. He has this one guy who's like a regular sort of panelist on his show, right?
Who totally has the Zoo Crew voice too.
Oh, they all do.
Right.
They all do.
So, well, I mean, that's where Glenn Beck came from. He used to be a morning Zoo Crew guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I know then he got his batshit crazy show.
Well, he went
national with it.
Well, before that, he was a Zoo Crew guy, became a like raging alcoholic, found Mormonism,
right,
and then got his show.
Got his show.
But his start in radio was he was a Zoo Crew guy.
No way.
Yeah. Like in Arizona or something.
I bet he was.
Oh, I bet it was so
fucking
bad. I bet he had some. He was just like the cougar or some fucking horrible.
So the story of his life is something along the lines of the Fisher King. Is that
Yes. Yes. Except that he didn't end up homeless. God, I wish he had. Instead, he got his own channel. How come at the end of it, he couldn't end up being homeless? The Fisher King. Yeah, nobody died, and he didn't end up homeless. It was just him that became an alcoholic and a loser, and then joined the LDS Church.
Right.
And is now just a dry, angry alcoholic loser with a TV show.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. We're going to skip emails. I know we got a lot of emails this week.
Inundated? Is that the term? Inundated?
Yeah, we were perhaps inundated. That is Dan's realm. I would not venture into there. I would not presume
to venture in there.
to venture into
Dan's realm.
Dan's realm.
I like it. Can we add another one? No, we're good.
It would behoove me.
Oh, yes. God, thank you for
right.
going. Yes.
But voicemails. Voicemail. I have voicemail. I have one.
Ooh.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Megan from Nebraska calling. I just listened to the Holiday Survival Guide episode the other day, and I wanted to return the favor. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Thanks for putting it in my head. It's been a living nightmare. Happy holidays.
Okay, first of all, Megan.
That is so adorable. She did such a good job. That's amazing. See, can we do it really quick?
No.
Why?
No.
Right.
No.
It's in my head now.
No. Don't. If we keep talking and having a conversation, then we can.
Then it'll be gone.
It will go away.
You know what the palate cleanser is? It's Footloose. Because Footloose is the most innocuous song ever written. So you can totally just go into like, kick up Sunday. And it just like.
You'll never stick in your head?
Yeah.
Footloose will never get stuck in your head?
Is it stuck in your head right now?
No.
See?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Megan.
Thank you, Kenny.
That's that's for you, Megan.
Just hum Footloose to yourself, and simply having a wonderful Christmas time will be long gone.
Yeah. All right.
Are we getting into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay.
So this is coming from a story.
Yes.
That you tipped me off to.
Yes.
I found it on The Guardian. I don't know where you found it.
That's where I found it too.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's because there is a adorable picture of a dog. Adorable picture of a dog.
Describe this picture of a dog.
It's this cute little fluffy. You know those little dogs that look like Ewoks?
But are all white.
Yeah, and he's just like the happiest little like.
Are they like little Maltesers? Like,
yeah,
what
I
is
think
this?
so. Something like that.
Maybe what's that one? It's a Bizet, something.
Yeah,
what is that?
I think so.
Something.
I don't know.
Bizet.
I have an encyclopedia of dogs out there.
No, it's fine.
We'll look at it.
Adorable face.
Yes, and is in the cutest little Pope outfit you've ever seen. Tiny, cute little
miter.
gold and white Pope outfit.
It's adorable.
Now, what this is based around is this. Now, having looked at it a couple of times, wildly innocuous thing that Pope Francis said.
Right.
That really holds no bearing one way or the other to what people have read into it.
Right.
But it is a really interesting jumping off point. And basically the idea is...
So what did he say that got everybody all excited?
Okay, and I'll start here with this Twitter-pated start to a quote. The endlessly controversial 77-year-old pontiff said...
Okay.
Right? Endlessly controversial.
So controversial.
Yeah. The Holy Scripture teaches us that the fulfillment of this wonderful design also affects everything around us. That's the start.
Okay.
The Pope went on to quote from St. Paul, St. Peter, and the book of Revelation in support of the view that what lies ahead is therefore a new creation.
Yeah.
It is not an annihilation of the universe and all that surrounds us. Rather, it brings everything to its fullness of being, truth, and beauty. Well, really, at that point, you could be talking about just about anything.
Yeah.
Where you're like, man, my Camaro is going to be there when I die and go to heaven, man, and it's going to be sweeter than ever. right? Why not? Could totally be that. Man, my baseball collection is going to have all the cards in it.
Yeah.
Because it'll be perfection in heaven, right?
Yeah.
But what did people take that to mean? Why is there a dog in this article?
Your doggy goes to heaven too.
Oh, all dogs go to heaven. They all get to go to heaven.
He had just finished watching the film.
Oh, he
was touched deeply.
Yeah, by Tony Danza's performance as the main dog. Animals too get to go to heaven.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the article. That's really what it's getting at.
But what an interesting thing that people responded so like
what they hop to.
Yeah. They want their pet with them in heaven.
Now let me ask you this, Frank. As somebody who is non-religious, what do you think about that?
Oh, I don't think my pet's coming with me to heaven.
Right.
I believe in heaven for me. I don't believe in heaven for dogs.
Right. Okay. And what you're doing is you're playing off of the thing that I had said earlier, which is that I cannot believe in a heaven for myself or any of the rest of mankind because that's just ridiculous. But like,
I'm also stating Pope Benedict's position.
Oh yeah, let's get to that really quick. So Pope Benedict, otherwise known as the Dark Pope, the resigned
Pope, he
Pope,
said, "For other creatures, we are not called to eternity, or who are not called to eternity. Death just means the end of existence on Earth."
He said, and then stomped a chipmunk's head.
Oh no!
Means the end of existence on Earth.
Oh, that's sad.
Well, maybe.
That was actually from, and the article does make sure to note that Benedict is a noted cat lover.
They were like, he really comes off as a total dickhead. They're like, maybe say he's a cat lover. We have that adorable dog there. Everybody loves Frank. Like, there's a picture of Francis with like a dove landing on his head or something. And it's like, oh.
All the animals.
Yeah, and then the Nazi Pope is over here saying, they must all go into the chamber.
Right? Oh, God. Darker place than I intended or had hoped for.
Wasn't he a Nazi youth?
Oh, maybe. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure he was.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I'm pretty sure he was a Nazi youth.
Nonetheless, but damn, he's old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, okay. He's like the knight in, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He's been around forever. But anyway, it is a really interesting idea. And I am being mainly facetious, but I will say that, like, okay, this last year, we had to put down my dog Buckley.
Yeah.
And like, when you do it, you get like, they go and they do the cremation and that whole thing. And they give you this letter that's about, and anybody out there who's had a pet that's died knows this, that like you get this, whatever veterinary service or whatever, you get this letter that is about this thing. It's like a poem, and it's about this thing called the Rainbow Bridge. Oh. And it's this very, when you get to heaven and the dog, all the animals are on the other side of the rainbow bridge and they run to you and they're not limping anymore and they're not sad and old anymore and they're fine again.
You got this from the vet?
I've gotten, we've had bad luck with pets over the years. And me and my wife have 3 of these letters from the 3 dogs that we've had to put down.
Oh my God.
It's a regular thing, this rainbow bridge thing. And anybody out there, I would imagine, the majority of pet owners out there have had to put a pet down, have this letter. Now, I can tell you just for myself that like, I don't imagine myself in any kind of a heaven or anything like that with like the dog on the other side of the bridge or whatever. But the idea, like, especially after you're in this grieving process of like that pet being that like healthy, vibrant version that it was when it was 3 or 4 years old, like bounding across the bridge towards you, and you're reading this fucking poem, and you're just like, you've just gotten back your dog's ashes or whatever. Like, you're incredibly fragile, and you read that, and I'm like, I wish that was true. I wish that my dog went somewhere nice and like was okay, because like, there's a thing about pets, right? Like, people, for the most part, unless they're children or whatever, and then it's incredibly tragic. We don't need to get into that. But like, people, for the most part, like, they have their own agency. They have their own, trajectory. And so like, they're gone and you're like, boy, they had this great life and all these things. But pets are like these, like, you're there and they're just looking at you like, what's happening now, dude? Like, are we cool now? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So when you have to put them to sleep, it's like the most fucking horrible thing in the world.
Yeah.
And they're still looking at you like, everything's going to be okay, right? And so it's like, when they're finally gone, I don't know what residual, vestigial spirituality, whatever is left over, but I'm like, universe, give them something, because they were here for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that is, but I'm just being perfectly honest that there is some vestigial thing that's left over. And so I think it's so interesting that when you even look at spiritual people,
right,
who you know, follow the Bible down to the letter of the law, and it's like all the beasts of the field are, you know, bow to you because you are man and they do not have souls, and all this, are clamoring or climbing over each other to be like, did the Pope just say that animals have souls so that Fluffy could be there with me? You know, like they really, like, we hunger for that.
No, yeah.
What do you think that is?
Well, I don't know that I long for Milo to have a soul. I don't know that you know what I mean? Like, I know that he's a dog, and Milo's my dog, everyone. Yeah, I don't find myself, like, I mean, I'm also a fairly new dog owner, right? I've had Milo for a year, and he is my first dog in adulthood. And so, like, I mean, I haven't had to, like, go through that yet. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel that need, but I get that, you know.
I will say this.
It's like, I don't know.
And maybe this is just awful. Maybe this makes me a bad person. I don't know.
Right.
But I never had any kind of a strong feeling of, and there goes one of my dogs. I never had a very strong feeling of that want or desire or feeling of, like, not even like, am I really atheist? It wasn't that. It's more of just this feeling of like, God, I wish there was maybe something out there. I didn't have that when close friends or my grandparents or anybody else died, but I totally did when Buckley, who we had for 10 years, did. And again, it's not a, I wish that something was, or it was a wish there was something for him, not a, I think there is. You know what I mean? It was more of a, oh, that sucks so much. Like, because all he wanted to do was like run and play and all that. So it's this very innocent idea of just like, that sucks.
Of course, I mean, longing to like see a loved one who's passed away.
Yeah.
I've experienced that. You know, not longing to want to see them in some sort of like, you know,
ethereal plane.
Right. But like, just like, it's like missing.
Yeah.
Deeply.
But again, that's the thing is I think that for some reason with people, it's easier because you can be like, oh, their memory lives on and all these things. But a dog is just like, it's just a dog. Like it has like these simple pleasures of what it wants in life. And so you want it to be able to keep having those simple pleasures, regardless of what you believe or don't believe. Mainly just because of the love that you had for this being that's like, what are we doing now? You know? Yeah. So it's
who loves you unconditionally.
Yeah, and it's a very different, weird kind of feeling there, you know? Yeah. And I think
I will tell you this. Earlier before we started recording, we were kind of joking about not knowing about heaven, but there are certainly dogs who deserve to go to hell. And you were like, yeah, any of the dogs who've bitten me should. And I was like, hey!
Because I had fucking totally forgot that your dog bit me a couple weeks ago.
And that outraged me.
I know it did. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm sorry, Frank. And you were like, hey. And then I didn't even occur to me for a minute, like, oh, wait, these are two grown men, neither of whom believe in hell. But you know, for a second, we're like deeply offended. They're like, do not damn my dog to hell.
Which, by the way, lest everybody thinks I'm a bad dog owner, he's a little 11-pound cute little dog.
Yeah.
And it was a nip.
And I was trying to grab him, and he's a sweetheart.
But I did notice that when I suggested we record at my house, you were quick to be like, how about at mine?
I don't want to get bit again. And we'll just leave it at that.
He won't bite you. Anyways.
I mean, he might. You saw the mark it left. It was a decent size.
He won't
mark.
bite you again.
Mm-hmm.
He might be angry at you, but we now know that he wants to bite you. So
we're one step closer.
There are certain people that he wants to bite. until he no longer wants to bite them, and then he will lick your face and be really cute and sweet. I promise that.
So to circle back around to what we were talking about before, I agree with that. But to circle back around to what we were talking about before, I guess that one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this in particular is to kind of get to the, all dogs go to heaven, kind of an idea, mainly just to because I think that there are times that it's not that I feel like that I fight with my atheism, but that I think about my knee-jerk inclinations towards things that don't make me question things, but just make me realize what my instincts are.
Yeah.
And that they come when there's these really sad moments like that don't have a good narrative to them that makes sense, right? The way that it does, say, if a grandparent dies or a close friend dies,
right, yeah.
and you can easily say it's a tragedy, or you can easily say, oh, there's all these great memories, when it's something that's much more intangible in the sense of it feeling inherent, where it is that love of a pet.
Right.
And then I feel that inclination. And so I guess I more wanted to bring it up because a lot of times it's so easy to go directly to this is the belief structure and this is what it is because that feels good and safe.
Right.
Whereas to really talk about the weakness when it crops up, I feel like doesn't get talked about enough sometimes, and it happens in those moments of weakness, right?
Yeah. And I also think that what's a detail that should be pointed out, I think, is like the first time that you co-hosted, when you guest hosted the show, like probably almost 3 years ago, probably.
Yeah, I guess so.
It was easily within the first 6 months, I would say, that you guest hosted. You still weren't using the word atheist to describe yourself.
Not really. And I will admit this, and I think that, and Abby and I, my wife and I, have talked about this a lot. I think a big part of that, of why I changed my mind about that, is because I really liked the term agnostic as a way to, I think I was using it as a different phrase from what's commonly used, because I was using it more as like a, I believe in none of it. Like none of the subscribed stuff do I believe in. And what I realized is that by using that term, what it was telling people was, oh, you just haven't decided yet,
right,
what religion you want to believe,
right?
And like, no, I don't want any of you to sell me anything. I'm not going to buy any of the stuff that you're selling me.
My impression, though, talking to you, was that you were still very open to not maybe the possibility of an existence of like a Christian God, but that you weren't willing to like completely shut out other possibilities.
Right. And that's not true. I think that really where I was at was that I don't think anybody's minding the store. I don't think that there's think that there's anybody that's keeping score of anything. Okay. I don't buy into any of that. Right. And I don't really buy into any kind of like mysticism or anything like that either. But I think that
I guess the question is as time has passed, right? Now it's not like it's ever going to get easier for a dog to be in that situation where you have to put down a dog. Like but I'm just wondering, as you've processed through the years, has that inclination been less? So to sort of want to grasp onto like the rainbow bridge.
I don't know.
Or is it just a place that you let yourself go because ultimately you'll come back around, and so no harm, no foul. For one moment, you got to have a little half fantasy.
I don't even know if I know my emotions well enough to give you a really good answer for that in those moments.
Right.
I know that it doesn't necessarily it doesn't bring me any. It doesn't make me feel better. It just makes me sadder. Right.
Oh.
Like I don't. Do you know what I mean?
Isn't that a funny thing though about grief is that there's a point where you almost
You get
feel
exhausted.
bad, but you feel bad letting yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so having something that's triggering it further is sort of, I don't know what the psychological thing that's going on there, but like you kind of indulge yourself for a minute.
Well, okay, here's a great example of that. I showed you when you came over tonight, I showed you the new tattoo I have on my forearm.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like the most prominent tattoo I've ever gotten. It's on my forearm. I'm officially a guy with tattoos.
You're that guy
now. Yeah, it's on my forearm.
Right.
And it's a tattoo. It's a tattoo that has my friend who passed away, about 5 years ago. It has his name. It's a tattoo for him.
Right.
And I don't think that he's going to walk across some fucking rainbow bridge.
Right.
And I know those things to be true, but having that tattoo like right here where I can look at it every day, like has been incredibly cathartic and healing to me. Really? Yeah. Really? Because for some reason, instead of it just being like, because I mean, we were really close friends. I would think about him almost every day. He died of a drug overdose, so it was pretty tragic, pretty fast. Right. And I would think about him almost every day and not think about him like, oh, I wish he was looking down on me from heaven. But more in this way of just like, the fuck does all that mean? Like, God, we were such close friends and then this happened and like, what does that mean for my life? And just sort of, like trying to like, what lesson do I learn and what's the thing? And it's just this weird, it's like a car just hits you and you're like, and then drives off and you're like, is this okay? Like, what happens now, And for some reason, having this here and me being able to look at it for this last week of just looking at it after I got it done was like, okay, it's not that I know what it means now, but it's a thing I can carry with me in a very visceral way. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's almost like that's been really comforting in a way that a poem about the Rainbow Bridge can never be. I don't know. It's like I'm making it into my own. I'm making it mean whatever it means to me, myself. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I feel like I can't. I mean, I think it's, it's so personal for everybody how they process grief or how they process their emotions. And I don't know. It's.
Have you ever gotten a dog tattoo? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't. But Abby and I have been talking about it lately.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, we actually. That's awesome. I don't know. I think that you got to figure that stuff out for yourself. And we both talked about this before that, both of us as storytellers, when big events happen to us in our lives, it's like you want to find what the narrative is to yourself and also to whatever it is that happened or the person that it was involved in a way that's true, but also in a way that fits with your head, kind of. And so, and I think that what happens is I think a lot of times people aren't good enough storytellers, and that's why they need religion, is to be able to be like, well, this is what it meant. Right. Yeah, no. And so it's like you kind of, and so I find for myself, I have to find this way of like, this is a true story, but it's also the story I need to kind of tell myself in order to get through my day, right? About the stuff that happens to me.
Yeah, it's strange. I've been kind of thinking about stuff along those lines.
Yeah. Lately. Anyway, that's a whole other enchilada.
Yeah,
we can always do
go
this.
Down that road
we can always
right
do this.
Definitely.
You were like, is this going to be enough for us to talk about? And I was like, Frank, it's us. We're going to be fine. So sorry if we got a little tangential, but I don't know. Yeah. Well, part of it's the dog thing is still fresh. That only happened in this last spring. Yeah, and we had him for like me and Abby's whole relationship.
Oh wow,
which is weird, right? It's like a whole mile marker. So I don't know. Anyway, all dogs don't go to heaven, people. That's just part of it. Sorry,
they don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
they're just like us.
They're just like us.
They're just like people.
So treat them really good while they're here.
Yeah, they deserve it. They're so sweet. All right. Well, if, of course, you have any stories that you would like to tell or share with us or comments, feedback, whatever, you can email those to podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. We do love to hear from you. And we also love to hear your voice. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, the telephone number is 424-666-8442.
And please do, because we're really, that's going to be a big part of sort of my contribution to the show is taking a lot of your guys' stories and a lot of your guys' experiences and doing some really cool stuff with it. So please call in with your experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, the Facebook page is facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Or also on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. It's become a vibrant and interesting community, and full of just regular commenting and posts, and it's quite remarkable. I really haven't spent enough time on it yet. That's kind of been more Dan and Mackenzie's project. But it seems to be doing wonderfully. And then, of course, speaking of Mackenzie, thank you, Mackenzie, for all the help on Facebook. And thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for letting us use their music. All right. Well, thank you, Adam, for filling in.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
It was kind of last minute, too.
Yeah.
Not a lot of notice on this one.
That's okay. I love doing it.
You know, Dan goes out of town, and
you just never
sometimes
know.
we just can't get it recorded early before, blah, blah, blah.
Trotting around.
So, yeah. All right. And thank you, of course, everybody, for listening. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.